Dissent. Good word for argument. Dissent. Sent, feeling. Think of sentiment. Okay, die, separate. Two, isn't it? Two. Die, if you dissent, you're different from somebody else. Two different feelings. Anyone like to dissent on any of these?
Disagree.
Disagree, exactly. So you can use that as a noun and a verb. Dissent, dissent, same pronunciation, doesn't shift the stress. Anything there that you think?
Anti-nuclear.
Anti-nuclear. Ah, right, okay.
And abortion rights.
Right, you put them over there.
No. The above the abortion rights should be right side.
Abortion rights.
This is the right to have an abortion.
Yeah.
Woman.
That is right side, I think. No?
The women say no.
Okay.
You better listen.
We already talked about that one.
Beauty contest. Oh, okay.
I think I get what he means. Maybe he meant like the baby's right. I think that's what he meant.
Ah,
The baby's
okay.
right.
All right. So
Yeah.
that would be like the fetus's right,
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
Where would you put that? Fetal. We'd say fetal rights.
People,
They're the opposite to that. Yeah, that's a good one. Where would you put it? Fetal rights. The argument that the fetus, you know, is a full person at the moment of conception, and we've got to protect its rights. So they're more important than the mother. That's right.
Still in left.
Here, Tommy, you're doing this one. You're the expert. Where are you going to put that?
I think
Yeah.
it's right.
That's right. Fetal. Just the spelling. Look, that's how I spell it because that's British spelling. American spelling, it's simpler. But in most Australian literature, you'll see that. Fetal rights. Or fetal as a, personhood. So, the acknowledgement of the personhood of the fetus.
Shouldn't that be on the left? Fetus right?
No.
Why? Why, Amit? Why would you put it there?
Because you know how every human has the right or equal chance of life. I think the fetus should have the right thing.
Yeah.
Because it should have the right. So example, if everyone on the left side have the right, that person should have.
Yeah, I see your point. What's the argument why it's on the right? Anybody?
If that we have to choose one of them, fetus rights or women's rights, we have to respect women's rights.
Ultimately that would be the argument. Yeah, that a woman is a full person.
Grown-up person.
Yeah, and female rights certainly belong on the left. Yeah. So in that moment of contradiction, that would override the other, the fetal rights. That's the at least that's the argument from this side. Yeah, interesting one. Now the anti-nuclear one is interesting because
Nuclear, if it is used in medicine side, for example, to stop pain for people who suffer from cancer, is good. But when I use nuclear to make bomb to destroy Japan, it is not good. If I use it to make a weapon or something to kill each other, just in case, just because I disagree with him, he is not. For example, in Arab country, we suffer a lot. People kill each other, nothing for, we are different. And because we are different, they told, for example, we are not believable. Because I didn't believe in his religion, so that means he denied my faithful. Even I have the right, my faith. I have the right to believe or not believe, and he has the same right. But he didn't live in peace at all. You see, in all Arab country, there is no peaceful, even between two groups, the same religion, but different group. They fight each other. Why? They have problem.
Yeah, and hence the use of massive weapons in situations like that is
I think
problematic.
maybe if there is nuclear weapons, that will cause more conflict. So, because everyone can get access to weapons, especially in America. In America, bullets are sold in Kmart's and Target. That's how crazy it is. So.
Indeed, they are. I've seen them.
Yeah.
You can go into Walmart and I've seen machine guns in a glass display.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So banning weapons could prevent people from doing something extreme. So
That's a good one. Okay, what we call the gun lobby.
Yeah.
The right to bear arms. Big in America, isn't it? And a little bit here. There was a political battle in 1996 about this.
Our government came in.
That's right. What happened, Majok? Do you remember the
Yeah, I
details?
remember that there was a gentleman who made this headline in
Port Arthur, yeah.
When he killed a lot of people.
Yeah, 35 people.
Yeah, then Howard came in.
Yeah.
And the first thing he did in his administration was to change the guns law in Australia.
That's right. Yeah.
Until today,
Good
we have
knowledge.
never had that kind of killing of that time.
That's right. This young guy, Martin Bryant, had an automatic weapon, killed people at this tourist spot where the old convict prison was in Tasmania, just on a weekend.
Thing with the gun. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
The thing with the gun is that you can't control the weapon. Like example, it's like a bullet is as fast as the speed of sound, so you don't have time to react. So any other weapon, just let's say baseball bat, you can avoid that if you know martial arts. You can handle that situation very well. Depends on your confidence, but like anything nuclear, guns, tanks, whatever,
Sure.
that wouldn't give the person to escape or get the chance to avoid situations like that, because the actual weapon itself is so fast that
And look, Howard in '96 banned automatic weapons,
Yeah.
not all guns,
Yeah.
single fire guns or double fire, fast automatic guns
Yeah.
were banned. So that was an interesting moment because Howard belonged on the right. And yet he had, just personally, he had this position which was more like a left position. But in the United States, the gun lobby, the NRA, the National Riflemen's Association, very strong right-wing lobby group in the US. We don't really have such a big group here. I mean, they tried to fight Howard and they lost. It showed they're relatively weak. Is it clear enough why these things would sit here? I'm glad people put this here, because that, overall, it's a little bit complex, that one, because as we'll talk later, a lot of employers like critical thinking, creative thinking about the workplace and how to solve problems, but not too much. They don't want total questioning of the authority, or who should own the factory or the workplace, or the social thinking, social criticality, political criticality. They don't want that, but they want technological, and by that I can mean financial, technological, professional criticality. So they're kind of caught in this contradiction. They want an educated workforce, but not too educated. Not too educated in terms of social, historical, political thinking. You remember I drew the micro and the macro on the board at the beginning? They tend to be happy with the micro critical thinking, but not the macro. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, this is women's rights generally, and I think we've got patriarchy. Patriarchy there? Yeah. So, historically, male power resides, on the right. It hasn't always been there, of course. Males only get power, economic power, when agriculture rises. If you look back at societies before agriculture, just before, and in horticulture, where there's gardening, women actually control the economy. And there's a period in history between 10 to 20,000 years, that period, where most religions are female and the dominant property is owned by females. And agriculture comes and it shifts property to the males and inheritance to the males, and we get the rise of patriarchy. So this notion of male superiority is just, it's a historical period we're in. It's not actually natural. But anyway, that's another story.
I think
But in other words, patriarchy and class society came together. When agriculture got produced and surplus got produced and some people started seizing surplus and saying it's mine and creating a class, at that moment patriarchy developed. So patriarchy and class are totally historically intertwined and interconnected. So that's why feminism is on the left, patriarchy is on the right. We can sort of explore that more another day.
John, what do you think culture and views, which side would that be?
Culture, well, we got multiculturalism,
Yeah.
so equality of all cultures, whereas what would be the opposite? We have historical one. I mean, in this country, that idea of, Anglo-Celtic, you know that term, Anglo-Celtic, like British culture, dominant,
What
superior.
about like some principle, for example, let's say, like, okay, an example like would be like, in my culture it's done this way and it has to be that way, like you can't do this, like, in my home country it's done that way or that way. So I'll talk about my culture, for example, like maybe in the household, many situations refer to the culture, like in our culture, we would like be home at 7 o'clock, an example, before it's dark. So what category would that go on?
So be home at 7 o'clock, no reason, just that's the way we do it.
Yeah.
If you're not, where does that belong? That's strict father, isn't it? I mean, look, I know what you're meaning, like, you just, cultural practice that has no real necessary logic to it, it's just the way we do it, and you just accept it and you reproduce it.
Yeah.
Well, critical thinking's there. That's about questioning everything, including your own beliefs and practice. So I would put that somewhere here. It's a conservative sort of position, isn't it? Okay, we've done this for centuries. We'll just keep doing it and doing it and doing it because we've done it for centuries. My great-great-grandparents did it. Conservative.
So what?
That's. I'll just write that word because it's important. Conserve. When you conserve, you keep something. It's like preserve, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's where we get our word conservative, where you're preserving traditions. But this side doesn't necessarily want to get rid of all traditions. The ones that, if we think critically and those things are useful to us and there's a reason for them, sure, let's keep doing it. But if they're just created by dominant classes for the purpose of preserving their power, then maybe we should throw them out. I mean, it's a matter of doing that just continuously, and millions of people doing it and deciding what they want to do, I guess.
Sometimes in society where you have dependent people, you have somebody in control to say this is wrong, and you need to accept that, especially with the young people. If they come home late, their parents are concerned as to what might happen to them when they are not there. So if they are asked to come home, maybe 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, they should do that because that will actually make their parent happy and they will be safe at the same time. If they keep that simple rule.
Yeah,
but if you question as to why you are asked to come home, then you need to face the consequence of coming home late or meeting crimes outside. There are two things.
I mean, like I just use that as an example. I mean, like there's some certain that logic. There's a reason behind it. Like there's a good answer for safety, well-being, and etc. But I'm just saying, like doing something that doesn't have any reasons behind it, just for the sake of culture-wise, or this is how it has to be done because it's done in our homeland, something like that, without any reasons or evidence or any proof, and that's questionable, because you'd be I'm exposed to a different environment or in a different situation, do we have to follow that path if there aren't any good reason? Yeah. If there's any reasons or evidence, so then that's acceptable. But if there isn't, it's just this is how I've done it, or this is how we do it, and it has to be that way. No reasons, no questions, no answer. Just that way, follow it that way, then that's like kind of like like kind of right wing, not hearing the person's view, yeah, or as long as there isn't any evidence or any reason behind it, it's like yeah.
Those are that's a good example. Can we hang on to that? Just let's all remember Ahmed's example, because when we do look at logic fairly soon and we do dig into critical thinking, a couple of things you've said there, like, this is how it's always been done, or all of us do it like this. These are two very common arguments, aren't they? And we will look at the logic, like the strength of the logic behind those two arguments. We're going to look at lots of different kinds of arguments and whether they stand up or whether they collapse, under decent logical investigation. And I'm just to anticipate that those two would collapse under critical thinking perspective. Yeah, so that's why I think that attitude you tend to put here. If it's just do this, no reason, it's about authority, isn't it? And that is about authority. This is not about authority. This is about people expressing a democratic view.
That may be not only for I'm not saying for the young generation, it could be for any community or any culture.
Yeah.
Because let's say there's a community, alright, and people that are in charge in the community, they could imply the same role. Like for example, if you have in a Richmond community, people who are in charge of the community, maybe they can they'll have that kind of conservative way of thinking, or maybe or that word patriotic. So yeah, so it's not only young generation.
Yeah,
it could be
absolutely.
Yeah, it could be also it could be also gender roles also.
Yeah. That's right. Women, you're a woman, you do it like this. You're a man, you do it like this. Why? It's the way we do it.
It could be you could be why this way? Because in our culture, yeah. So
yes.
Yeah. So it could play in different type of areas like gender, youth,
absolutely.
Community.
It's not just parent-child, is it? You're right. Yeah. What we might do, we've got a lot to, I think, get through actually here. I was going to do something else, but it's all right. It's good discussion. Let's have a break. We'll come back at 10 past and keep analysing some of this. Then we'll,
but the left one
just
is all right in here, isn't it?
we'll find out. After the ad break, we'll find out.